they named him a top suitor for the Philadelphia Eagles for the top defender in this draft. A lot to discuss here, and we have some insights on another pre-draft visit, and we're talking extensions from Jeffrey Lurie, Howie Roseman, Nick Sirianni, and a lot more. So let's get straight into it.
A killer buried, but not dead.
Darren, we better turn around. Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Yo, what is going on, guys? Hope everyone's having a fantastic day today. This video is sponsored by BetUS, so definitely go check them out if you guys have not. A lot to discuss here. We are getting closer and closer to the NFL draft. And, still very slow. Not a lot has happened, especially with, Dallas Goedert and what's going on with specific players on this roster. But we did hear from Jeffrey Lurie, okay? He had a press conference the other day and talked about the tush push and is very, obviously very supportive of it, as we all know, as every coach on this team is. But he did talk about the extensions of, you guys remember, Nick Sirianni's contract was up after 24, and Howie Roseman's contract was up after 24. Now, he did say, you guys will find out soon enough of Nick will be our coach moving forward. Jeffrey Lurie, to no surprise, hints that a contract extension to Nick Sirianni could be announced soon. Okay, which we all know that. Howie Roseman, he has mentioned that Howie Roseman has an extension as well. So they're staying in Philly for a long time because we never really got any update after the season was over on possible extensions or what was going on. So we will get that as soon as possible when the time comes. Now, there's going to be rumors. Once we get even closer and closer to the draft, whether the Eagles are trading up, trading back, sitting at 32, who they're looking at, who they could get. Walter Nolan is still talked about as one of the top defenders in this draft and a top-tier suitor for the Philadelphia Eagles, okay? Now, I understand the Eagles have used first-round picks on defensive tackles the last few years, and it's almost crazy to think that they would spend a first-round pick on another one. But safety is a glaring hole right now, and potentially, I think, with Dallas Goedert's departure in a trade, is that tight end will be a big hole as well. Is DT the biggest hole on this team? Definitely not, but I think you have to look at the contracts. And I've said this a million times. We're not just trying to have tunnel vision for this year and this year or this year only. Howie Roseman likes to look down the road at all because when you look at the defensive tackle position, when Jordan Davis is going to have a contract year after this year, okay, you have Jalen Carter that you're going to have to pay, which he's staying in Philadelphia the rest of his career is probably going to be a $40+ million contract. And Moro Ojomo in 2025, this is his third year, and this is another contract year for another defensive lineman. So realistically, every year there's going to be a recycling. There's going to be guys that need to get re-signed, get paid every single year. We don't have any set pieces on long-term extensions, long-term contracts, or guys that are early in their contracts. So what I'm trying to figure out here is if Walter Nolan is a trade-up candidate for the Eagles, a possibility for them to go get him, it would probably make sense for the long run, and if they don't pay Jordan Davis after this year, don't pick up his fifth-year option or something like that, Walter Nolan could probably start next to Jalen Carter, most likely, as the future, first rotation going forward, and they might just let Moro Ojomo walk. So you always have to look at the contracts going down the road with a lot of these guys and just looking at this year and this year only. Obviously, Howie Roseman has made moves to not only free up cap space, but to have some continuity within this roster that you're never going to be letting go of 20+ guys every offseason. And the more you draft well, the less you spend in free agency and the more you can possibly do going forward. So we have to rely on our coaching staff, rely on everything around to really trust this process. And I think Eagle fans really need to open themselves up a little bit and trust what we've been doing, because not only we're hitting on one draft pick, we're hitting on 2 draft picks. And damn, if you could hit on 3 draft picks per draft, that would be absolutely fantastic. So Walter Nolan being a top suitor for the Philadelphia Eagles probably makes a lot of sense when it comes to contracts going down the road and not having any stability where guys are here for a while. every year someone's up for a contract, and there's 3 players right now, and Moro Jomo, Jalen Carter, and Jordan Davis that need contracts. So drafting a DT in the first round, it may seem crazy, but for this theory, it probably makes a lot of sense. And I'm not saying that it's more important than safety. I'm not saying that's more important than tight end, but I think we got to be a little bit more patient. So we'll see what happens. Now, the Eagles have brought in another pre-draft visit, an interior offensive lineman. It looks like it's Dylan Fairchild. The Eagles have just brought in so many offensive linemen at this point, whether they're projected to go from first to the fourth rounds, they're going to get their guy. And I don't think, because you're only getting one guy right now, and there's a lot of competition with Keegan and Steen and Kenyon Green and some of these other guys, Matt Pryor being involved now. There's a lot of bodies going into camp, which you usually have a lot of bodies anyway. But adding another guy through the draft, which I think he'll be through between the third and the fifth rounds. I just don't think they're going to draft an offensive lineman too early because I don't know what their plan is going forward on who's more ready to really be a plug-and-play player this year, whether they're the future or I have no idea. And possibly you have to figure out Lane Johnson, he's here for another 3 years now since they extended his contract. So, but you still have a swing tackle, which is good. I thought they replaced Fred Johnson well with a 32-year-old tackle with a lot of starting experience. I forgot Kendall Lamb, that's his name. And really you're looking for a lot of guys that can play both guard spots right now. And they might go after this in the draft. It's a possibility. You're always drafting an offensive lineman every single year. You have the undrafted free agent pool after the draft that, then the guys that don't get drafted will have, they will have, their own choice to go to whatever team they want to go to. And they're bringing in another Georgia Bulldawg, which is great. So mostly it's been all offensive linemen. It's been defensive line, one corner, they're bringing in some guys. So they've been pretty favoritive when it comes to offensive line, and they really need to figure out, who's going to be the plug-in player, for the future at that right guard spot since the Eagles couldn't re-sign Mekhi Becton. But other than that, guys, that's pretty much it. I mean, this was a short one today. The news is a little slim right now, but we're starting to get some little rumors now of what the Eagles might do and who's the top suitor for the Eagles in this draft and why they should draft this specific player. So, like I said, we talked about DT. We talked about, obviously, Walter Nolan and how much I really do favorite him. I really love his tape and, could be a prospect. Might sound crazy because of some of the other holes we have right now. But it's going to come to best player available in this draft. But if they feel like there's somebody getting past 20, 24, and they have to jump up and go get somebody, it wouldn't shock me. Then they're going to go, if you're trading up, as long as you trade up and you're getting the best possible guy at that pick, if you trade up, don't reach for somebody that you don't need to reach for, that you can sit at 32 or maybe move up a spot or two or something like that. Or there's going to be a lot of phone calls for the Eagles at 32 as well. A lot of teams. Having the last pick in the first round is great because of the fifth-year option from 32 to no fifth-year option and for the 33rd pick in the second round. And now you get phone calls from a lot of teams that want to try to get that fifth-year option for a specific player that they want. And Howie Roseman is going to, tell these teams, like, I want like your second round pick. I want a first round pick for next year. I mean, I want him to fleece somebody if somebody wants that 32nd pick. That's what I really want. And don't make that trade up for 32 cheap if you're willing to trade back. But we'll see what happens. This thing can go either way. So other than that, guys, that's pretty much it. Make sure check the link in the description for the Philly Shakedown podcast merch, the Jalen Hurst merch. Absolutely fantastic. Definitely subscribe to the channel and hit the like button on this video because it helps out tremendously. We'll have more news soon. Howie Roseman's working his magic. Like I said, this doesn't stop at the draft. It could happen, at the draft or after the draft. The offseason continues still for the Philadelphia Eagles and seeing what they're doing. A lot of questions still on the board right now. So, all right, you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Shakes, what up, follow, slide. Peace out, guys. Peace.